Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So the internet blew up this morning. They announced that Hawkgirl and Rip Hunter are coming to the Arrow Flash spinoff. They haven't confirmed what the title is going to be, but I'm just going to call a spade and say it's Justice Society. Brave and the Bold would be like the second likely option. They had a team-up Brave and the Bold cartoon, and a lot of these characters that they're casting have appeared in the Brave and the Bold comics over the years. In my head though, Justice Society just sounds like it has better name recognition, and that they would want to lead with that if they could. But it's possible that DC Comics won't let them use Justice Society. In that case, I think Brave and the Bold would be the go-to. They haven't finished casting yet. There's still a few characters that I think that they're trying to lock down, and they haven't announced who the main villain is going to be, even though they do have two villains already. They have Captain Cold and Heatwave, but I don't think they'll be the main villains. They're more like neutral characters, so they'll do evil things, but they'll also help the heroes if it suits them. So just to do a roundup, here is a breakdown of the cast that they have so far, starting with the heroes. There's the Ray Palmer Atom. He's probably going to bankroll the team. Running a superhero team is super expensive, so having a billionaire around comes in handy. It's just like Batman bankrolling the Outsiders team. Then we have Katie Lotz in an unknown role. I have some theories about that I'll explain in a sec. Most of them involve her being a totally different character. Like she's not going to be a resurrected Sarah Lance. Then we have Martin Stein, and since Robbie Amell is not listed on the cast, don't assume that it's going to be Firestorm on the show. It'll just be normal Martin Stein most of the time. He'll be like a scientist on the team. And then obviously we have Hawkgirl and Rip Hunter. Hawkgirl is going to be played by Sierra Renee. You probably never heard of her before. She's mostly done Broadway shows. Rip Hunter, of course, Arthur Darvill from Doctor Who, just adding to the giant list of Doctor Who characters that have transitioned to the Arrow Flash universe. Andrew Kreisberg is a giant Doctor Who fan, so you have him to thank for casting all these Doctor Who characters. Rip Hunter is a time-traveling character. They've already established that time travel is a thing in this universe on the Flash TV show. So I think a lot of the people that they're casting will give you an idea for what they will and will not be doing on the show. Most of the powers and everything is science-based. It can be explained by science, but Mark Guggenheim said that because of the Vixen digital cartoon series they're doing, magic will be a part of the universe too. That's going to be in continuity with these other shows. It's just Vixen won't be a live-action character. I'll explain how the Vixen stuff is connected later because they haven't aired any footage yet, but they have been working on episodes. So moving over into like the villain category, we have Captain Cold and Heatwave. Like I said, they're not going to be like the big bad. What I think is going to happen is because this is a superhero team-up show, they will build towards a super villain team eventually, but there will be like a single big bad. There'll be like a Merlin, Ra's al Ghul type character who will lead a team of his own, like an evil team. We're talking Crime Syndicate, Injustice Society, some version of something like that. That being said, I think it's going to take them a while to build up to that. So we'll meet like the main villain, and then eventually they'll build up towards like a super villain team, but maybe not till like season 2. And just to be clear, the show has not been picked up for like a full series yet. They're getting ready to film the pilot. After that's done, the CW will probably make a decision as to whether or not it'll pick it up, and then they'll start rolling into production for actual episodes. For now, though, the commitment is pretty strong. I think unless something goes really, really wrong when they film the pilot, unless something goes terribly wrong, I think it's all but guaranteed to be picked up for a series. Greg Berlanti said that they did know which character would be the main villain. They just haven't cast him yet. Berlanti said that he is like one of the biggest DC characters, one of the biggest DC villains that has not been seen on screen yet, that hasn't been used in a big way. So I think he's talking about Vandal Savage. He showed up in the animated shows, but I don't think he was talking about the animated shows when he said on screen. Typically, everyone views live action and the cartoon stuff is completely separate. So right now, the biggest Justice Society villain that they haven't seen on screen in a big way is Vandal Savage. The other really good option for the villain, especially if they're going to do the Brave and the Bold, if that's going to be the name of the series, would be Libra. That was a big Justice League villain. I know he does some weird stuff, like there's some weird twists to the character during Final Crisis, especially with the Flash family. Just ignore that and remember that Libra was able to steal all the powers of the Justice League, and he went around putting a team of supervillains together. It would definitely play into the idea of escalation. Superheroes team up, villains team up in response. Really though, I'd rather see them call the show Justice Society and go with Vandal Savage, but either one are really big possibilities. Libra is just a little more mysterious and gives them a back door to tie things back into the Flash TV show. I don't want to give away like major Final Crisis spoilers, especially if they haven't announced the villain yet. Once they do, I'll do more videos for the villain specifically. I know there are a lot of other big supervillains, but you have to remember that certain people are off limits because of characters that the movies are doing. So Vandal Savage is probably someone who will not show up in the DC movies, so that's why I think the TV show can use him. I'm also excluding a lot of magic-based characters because of Constantine. If Constantine gets canceled, I think that they'll open the doors towards like Dr. Fate, more magical stuff in the Arrowverse. None of that's confirmed though. Yes, there is magic in the Arrow universe, but there are probably a ton of characters that they can't use. For now, that is. Just for now. Things always change. Just in terms of rolling stuff out for this spin-off show, like confirming stuff, I think what they'll do is they'll confirm the title and they'll show like a logo and a picture of the cast in costume before the Arrow and Flash finales this year. That's still a ways off. I don't know that they'll have a trailer ready in time for that, but they might show a promo. When we get to Comic-Con later this summer, they'll probably air the pilot if they have it ready. It depends on when they finish filming. Usually they can turn pilots over pretty fast. May is usually the time when most networks decide on pilots, so that's usually when most pilots finish shooting, which is more than enough time to get it ready to show at Comic-Con. What I think would happen is if everything goes according to plan, the show gets picked up, it'll just air at the same time Arrow and the Flash does, just on a different night. It'll be like a Monday night show or a Thursday night. The real question now is who is Katie Lotz playing on the show? Option A, she's Sarah Lance resurrected in the Lazarus Pit. Option B is that she's a completely different character and has nothing to do with Sarah Lance. Right now, the most common theory is that she's going to be someone completely different. She's not going to have anything to do with Sarah Lance. Katie Lotz will just have like a slightly different look, and they might make some jokes about it whenever Arrow crosses over with them. None of that's been confirmed, but I do think that they will explain what's going on before the Arrow Flash finales this year, so you won't have to wait too long to find out. So here are the people that I think she could be playing. Just going from least likely to most likely, I'll start with Cassandra Cain, the Batgirl. I don't know that they're going to let them straight up use a Batman character in a bat costume. That just feels very unlikely. Then there's Miss Martian. It would certainly explain why she looks like Sarah Lance. She could look like however she wanted to look like. She'd also have some pretty badass powers. Remember, we have Hawkgirl, who's the most mystical, powerful person on the team, as far as we know. There's Lady Metamorpho, or Element Girl, however you want to think about her. She has special powers like metahuman abilities. She was also inducted into the Justice League at the same time as Firestorm and the female Atom. Slightly more likely, but just depends on whether or not they want to give her special powers. Then there's Liberty Bell or Jessie Quick. That would involve getting into speed-based powers, so it'd be more of like a Flash crossover. I think most speedsters, if we do see Jessie Quick, will be introduced on the Flash though. I think they'll keep it on that show. And my number one pick, if she's going to be like a totally different character, if she's not going to be like a resurrected Sarah Lance, I think she's going to be Stargirl. That's a character that was created by Jeff Johns in the comics when he first came to DC. The character herself is a real love letter to his sister who died in a plane crash. He gave the character his sister's name, Courtney, so it was a big love letter to her. So them casting her on the show would be a big love letter to that too. It'd just be a very poignant thing. We go from late 90s, Jeff Johns first joining DC Comics as a writer, to present day where he is like the creative director for all of DC Comics, working on a TV version of the comic book that he used to write. I feel like that fits. Stargirl does have the cosmic rod that she uses to fly, which is a little weird based on the powers that we've seen on the show so far, so they might change that, but she is a really awesome mechanic, which I think would make her fit in with Ray Palmer's character really well. Just in general, it seems like the team they're putting together is going to be more science-based, like most of their powers will evolve from science with a little bit of magic, a la Hawkgirl and Vixen. Here are my big questions for you guys. Who do you want Katie Lotz to be on this spin-off show, and who do you want the big villain to be? There are a lot of questions as to like who they're going to bring in as showrunners, like how much of that they're going to take on themselves with their existing team. Right now, Mark Guggenheim is showrunner on Arrow. I mean, he's always been showrunner on Arrow. Andrew Kreisberg is showrunner on The Flash, but he's also going to be just writing for Supergirl. They haven't named a showrunner for that, and then they're going to need a new showrunner for this other spin-off show. You have to remember that even though like Supergirl is at CBS, it's still a Berlanti show, so you still have a lot of Arrow Flash people collaborating on stuff. I know it gets a little confusing when you talk about like the production people behind the scenes, because it's like the same group of people making these shows, but some of them are at different networks, so they're technically not as connected as the ones at same networks, so I'll try to explain as we go along. And don't worry, I'm totally going to do weekly videos for Justice Society or All-Stars or whatever they end up calling the show. That's why I think that first episode is going to be them forming the team, and everyone will have their superpowers. So we're not going to have to wait for Hawkgirl to become Hawkgirl in that first episode. She'll already be that character. The next step for the Arrow universe, though, is magic. Like, they have to introduce magic in a convincing way. We've had time travel, like, that's a pretty crazy concept, so now magic is the next step. I know a lot of you guys are asking for like Justice Society, Justice League videos, stuff like that. I'm gonna wait till they officially confirm what the show's name is going to be before digging like really deep into the comics, so most of my bonus videos for this will just focus on the specific characters that they've announced. So what I'll probably do for my next bonus video for the spin-off show is do like a Hawkgirl video, just do like my favorite Hawkgirl stories from the comics. Be sure to subscribe to get that. I've also got a couple other videos that I'm going to try and post before The Flash, at least by Wednesday morning. I have my Walking Dead Q&A, and I have a special Crunchyroll giveaway. I know everyone always likes bonus giveaways. While you guys wait for that stuff to drop, you can click here for my latest Flash video, and click here to learn all about some new stuff from the Deadpool movie they just confirmed. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody, let's high five. I'll see you guys tomorrow.